Sponsored by the Glass Jug. Located just off State Road 55 in Durham, the Glass Jug is the only place in the Triangle where you can browse a selection of hundreds of different craft beers, sit and enjoy one of 16 different beers on tap, and then take home a counter-pressure-filled growler of your favorite draft beer. Their growler filling technology ensures beer freshness and carbonation for much longer than growlers filled from the tap. Join the Glass Jug for free tasting events every Thursday at 5 p.m. We'll see you at the Glass Jug.
Hi, I'm Glenn, Dave's behind the camera with the NC Beer Guys, and welcome to another episode of the NC Beer Buzz. We found our way out in the country today to Saxapahaw, the greater Saxapahaw. And we're here at Haw River Farmhouse Ales with Ben. And Ben is the owner, founder, brewer, and his better half is behind us. She didn't want to go on camera, and his future is with her. So thanks for having us out.
Thank you very
really
much.
Appreciate it.
Much appreciated. I appreciate you guys coming out.
We're going to get Ben to tell us all about and show us what's going on at Farmhouse Ales.
All right.
So we're out in the main entrance here, and one of the first things you see as you walk in is this beautiful deck area. And Ben, we're actually under what's up above us here?
The Eddie Pub is upstairs.
Right.
Our neighbors are running an awesome little pub upstairs. Fantastic food. A lot of great NC. They only serve NC beer, so that's cool. They're upstairs. The Haw River Ballroom is next door. There's the Left Bank Butcher Shop is on the other side of the building. Awesome new butcher shop just opened about when we did.
Okay.
The Saxapahaw
Which is about a year in now?
About a year. It'll technically be a year on October 24th. Is when the tasting room opened last year.
And when people drive up, you're kind of in the basement. You have to kind of go around.
Yeah, we're out on the side of the building. If we figure, I haven't had a chance to do a sign yet, but we figure if somebody comes to Saxapahaw to see us and they can't find us, they'll stop in the general store and ask, and they'll see the menu in there, or they'll go up to the Eddie. People apparently ask all kinds of places, so we're okay with that. And if you know where it is, you know where it is. It's not a big deal. It's right. Easy. It's not that hard to find.
That's good.
Yeah.
So what was in the building years ago? This old cotton mill?
Yeah, Dixie Yarns Cotton Mill.
All right.
And at some for almost 100 years.
It was empty and
tornado came through about a couple of decades ago and tore through the south building, or the west building, I guess, the lower mill.
Right.
The upper mill was the dye house, and that's what this is. So when the mill shut down, middle of the 90s, sat dormant for about 15 years, and then a handful of local folks thought it would be a good idea to jazz it back up again. So yeah, the Eddie, the ballroom started up. The general store was bought by a really awesome couple a little while ago, and they got it to where it is today. And the Eddie, same thing, the ballroom. And then as we were looking for a spot for the brewery, this was empty, and we had spoken with a handful of folks about what we could do with this. So it all worked out great.
All right. Okay, let's go inside.
You guys on? Okay.
So Ben has a nice tasting area here. How many taps, Ben?
12 taps and 12 seats.
Okay.
So yeah, so we've got 12 taps, and we try to keep all 12 taps.
So everybody can drink one tap until it
often as yeah. I mean, over the summer we had a little bit of a challenge. Obviously, again, this is our first year, so we're still learning things. But we tried to have
with the space, you mean? Or?
No, just challenge with trying to keep beer available. Yeah, we're trying to keep up with demand. Yeah, honestly,
that's the right problem to have.
It's good. But I want to make sure that the experience here in the tasting room, when folks come to sit down, I want to make sure we have what they expect on tap. So I want to have all 12 things on tap. Over the summer, actually, one Sunday I remember I was a little bit upset because we only had 6 taps on one Sunday, so we made sure we emptied a couple of barrels, made sure that we could get a nice variety, and that's part of the experience that we want to give folks when they come out, is a whole bunch of interesting little things on tap. We have our regular year-rounds on. We've got 1 or 2 rotating varieties on, and then we've got a whole bunch of small batch stuff. And now that we're a year in, we've started to pull individual barrels of things. So if we empty a barrel, that's about 12 kegs, and it'll be on for about a month, and we try to rotate that as much as possible. But we try to keep a good variety that showcases a lot of the local agriculture. We end up with a lot of small amounts of really cool vegetables or flowers, or little things like that. People are bringing it to us at this point, which is really cool. We get a ton of emails now. Yeah, and oh, exactly. And people say, hey, I'm going up to whatever distillery. Do you guys want 4 barrels? People say, hey, I've got 4 persimmon trees on my property. They're blowing up like crazy. Can I bring you persimmons? And so the answer is always, oh yeah, definitely. So then we got to sort of figure out, can we put this in a barrel? Can we brew a batch of beer with it? Which is one of the reasons we'll see in a minute. Which is one of the reasons we got the 2-barrel system, is so we have the flexibility to do small batches with small amounts of ingredients. So if we had to wait and to get enough ingredients to do it on the big production system, we might not be able to use those ingredients. But if somebody brings us, 2 pounds of marigolds, then we can brew a little batch of something kind of fun with it. So we can actually use all that. It's kind of nice.
When they bring the kudzu in and you figure out what to do with the kudzu, I got to come back.
I can do something with the flowers. The actual kudzu is a bit of a challenge. Yeah.
So let's see the back end of the operation.
Absolutely.
So while we're going back, let's what size is production capacity, and is it what you thought it would be from the start?
We were originally spec'd a 15-barrel brew house. We ended up with a 10, which I'm absolutely thrilled with. We do double batch each of our production batches into 20-barrel fermenters. So we've got 10. You can see the 10 here. It works very well for our space, and it works well with our production expectations. So 10-barrel brew house, the 2-barrel little electric system here. And again, that's we call it our
small batch.
Our pilot system, but it's more of a small batch stuff. We really don't do much test batching. Most of the test batching we just do over here, and luckily everything has turned out okay so far, I think. So we got the 10-barrel system. We've got it's a 700-gallon hot liquor tank, and we've actually got 12 solar panels on the roof that heat exchange to 700 gallons worth of tank space up there, so we can actually brew with hot water that we don't have to turn the boiler on, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's very nice. And making maximum use of the space.
Absolutely.
You don't have to get to them very often.
No, not at all. We don't have to get to them much at all, and they're all piped in, so we can actually control them down here. And the original spec for that was, I told our builders that I wanted them to kind of look like batteries sticking out of the wall. It didn't quite turn out that way, but they're still pretty cool, and they're up there. They're perfectly fine. Again, the solar panels are on the roof, chillers on the roof. We've had to maximize the heck out of our space. We've got 3,000 square feet here. About a third of it is taken up with the tasting room. So, and that tasting room is not large either. So we've had to maximize our space. One of the contractors said that, that after everything was done, they said it looks like the inside of a cell phone in here. So I'll call that a compliment. I think we're just very talented people with all the process piping, all the insulation. Everything is maximized and efficient as anything. So pretty happy with how we ended up as far as our work process goes. I was afraid maybe we'd be stumbling once we got in here actually working on things. We would be stumbling around stuff, like we've got pieces of things here and had to wrap some stuff around. I was nervous that that we would sort of be tripping over each other, but honestly it's turned out very nice. So. But yeah, we double batch into the 20-barrel fermenters every batch, so our brew days are twice as long as just doing a single thing, which is fine. And then one 20-barrel bright. I wish we had a couple more of those. Wish we had a couple more of everything. But it is what it is.
Has production, you mentioned production demands and keeping up with production, has that been one of the challenges?
Yeah. I want to be able to, I don't like telling folks that we don't have beer to sell them. And we've just started not being able to bridge the gap between batches. So now we'll run out of beer before we get to the next batch. And because a lot of our brand is built around interesting little side project types of things, we were never intended to be a brewery that brews 3 beers over and over and over again. That's not really what we do, and it's not. And I didn't think we would end up doing that, but we started doing that just because, again, demand is there for particular beers, so we tend to repeat those batches over and over, which is nice. Problem is, I got 3 fermenters. So when I've got 3 year-round beers and 3 fermenters, theoretically it's the same beer in each one every single time, which that's not what we want to be as a brewery. So we balance them fairly well. We've got the 2 fooders behind me. We're just now starting to pull beer out of these, which I'm excited about. A lot of folks sort of keep an eye on what we're doing, but sometimes I even have to remind myself, we're not a year old yet. We're basically a year old now. So this first year is all a complete learning experience, trying to figure out what the balance is between seasonals, one-offs, large batches, small batches, one-off type things that we do in the tasting room, little casks and single kegs. Sometimes we'll do single kegs.
Plus, you've got bottles hitting the market.
Plus, we've got bottles.
You've had a great reception out there. That must
trying to maintain expectations.
I want to assume,
exceed even.
But that's had to surprise you, frankly.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Hands down. I'm glad you said that. A lot of people say, "Well, you shouldn't be surprised." Oh, I should definitely be surprised.
Everybody knew would be crazy not to think they want to be where you are.
Sure.
With the demand, because when things come out of this place, people know it and
quickly.
follow it and want it.
Yeah.
And that's a great problem to have, although it does create the pressure.
It absolutely does. And again, my natural inclination is to try to meet that demand with a smile, which is an extremely hard thing to do when you just don't have beer.
Sure.
And you're trying to keep up, but then again, you're trying to do interesting little one-off things to try to keep that going.
And they want that same beer they had last time.
Yep.
They don't necessarily want the new and different that you've got to offer.
Yeah.
Because they want, I like that so much, I want another keg of that.
Yeah,
I want another half barrel of that.
But then a lot of folks are like, what else do you got coming out? So it's a balance. It's a hell of a balance. It's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting.
We also see a lot of barreling now.
Oh, yeah.
You are doing more barreling now than you thought you would?
This early, yeah. I mean, and again, right now it looks like a lot. It's honestly a silly amount of oak right now just because we're fermenting off this batch. We're going to let it bubble out. Once it's done, we'll secure all these with airlocks and we'll shelf them. So normally we wouldn't have quite this much oak sitting around kind of in the way. But yeah, I mean, these are all barrel fermented. So these are primary ferment. With Saccharomyces. These are a sour Flanders red in these barrels now, so we're going to let those ferment out until they stop bubbling, blowing off for a little bit, and then we'll seal them up and we'll stick them on the wall. And yeah, normally we have a little bit more space.
So, what our viewers who aren't really familiar with the Haw River product, you're kind of known for the sours and the Hold C series, but there's a lot more that you brew, frankly.
Sure. There's all kinds of stuff.
Are there themes and standards, and are we always going to get some of the same stuff, or is it always going to be changing up?
It's a good, and again, here's the challenge. It's a balance of those. So it's standards. You always want to have our oatmeal pale ale on tap wherever you want it, because it's what I drink when I'm done with work at the end of the day. We're not stopping this one. And I like it, and people like it. It's become sort of a go-to for a lot of folks, which is awesome.
So in that sense, it is one of your flagships.
It has sort of become my flagship.
You're not a flagship guy.
Yeah, but it kind of, depending on how you define flagship, it basically has kind of become our flagship.
You always got on, and you're always having
absolutely. St. Benedict's Breakfast, the same thing, year round. It's a nice dry coffee beer, so it works even well in the summer because it's got a nice brightness to it. As the winter, as the weather cools off a little bit, it's the coffee becomes a little bit more welcome. During the summer, that fruit from the double base is a nice dry snap of a beer.
Don't you find that people are not drinking as much seasonal as they used to? They're drinking the same styles all year long.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
They're not the old style of stouts and porters in the winter, lighter stuff in the summer. People are all mixing that all up.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think people are just chasing down. I think people are just chasing down different flavors, and if it happens to come in a stout, they'll drink it in the summer. If it happens to come in a Berliner Weiss, they'll drink it in the winter. If it's delicious, then it doesn't matter. I think it trends still. People drink more Gozas in the summer now. It just is what it is because they're sitting by the pool. You're not going to crack open a six pound of Imperial Stout by the pool just because that doesn't make much sense. But in general, yeah, people are definitely. We definitely had folks this summer, and again, we haven't really hit a real winter yet. Because last winter, I don't even remember last winter because my son was born in December, so I barely remember any of it anyway.
So you did a new brewery and a kid within months of each other. Yeah. That wasn't good planning.
I'm almost 40 years old. You just got to do these things. You got to do these things.
That's
you just got to do these things. So yeah, I mean, I don't regret a bit of it. He's awesome.
Of course.
So yeah, but yeah, it's just been crazy. It's been quite a ride this year.
That's good.
Quite a ride.
So before we end, let's make sure about our expansion plans. Where are we headed in the future? You say you've got some space here.
Yeah.
Because these barrels.
We just got to get creative with it. Yeah. Usually this space here is open.
And it will be where you do more fermentation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So the plan is pretty soon, I think. We weren't supposed to do it until year 2, but I've already started putting setting aside the space for it, and I've already been talking to the vendors about it. We're getting 3 more double-sized fermenters and another bright tank here. We actually teed off the glycol line when we built the brewery in planning for it, so we can just pull PVC off that pipe and line it up here. So we've got our glycol in place for those jackets. We got 3 more going here. We're going to move the fooders over here, and then we've basically got all the steel we need to grow as big as we want from a production standpoint. Then when we grow with oak, and we just add
there a point where you'll be as big as you want to be?
Yeah, I just explained it. That's as big as I want to be.
Okay, well,
I don't want to be huge. All
right, but that's not what everyboad's dream is.
I know.
Some people dream to be the next.
Dream about all kinds of stuff.
Right, but you don't.
Yeah, I mean, part of the advantage of one of the reasons that, and you guys know fairly well, one of the reasons that we took so long in getting open.
We didn't reference how long we waited.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. We're being real here.
We waited for you to get open.
No, that's right. But yeah, we were in planning for almost 5 years since we originally had the idea. So one of the reasons it took so long was that we had to get creative with our financing. We talked to some really awesome little banks, and we did some fun crowdfunding things, and we did all kinds of fun little things like that. And we don't have investors, which allows us all kinds of awesome flexibility. So we don't have to grow big.
Because you are the decision maker.
Well done. My wife is the decision maker.
Well, I understand that, but you don't have.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, but
you
it's
don't
the
have
two of us.
Financial partners.
Right. Right. Exactly. It's the two of us that get to work with our employees, our staff, to make those decisions. So we're small enough.
And when it's more than you want it to be, it's done.
Yeah. I don't see any reason, and I've been saying this for years. I don't see any reason why we would ship beer out of state. And I'm not criticizing anybody that does that.
Well, of course.
I just don't. I don't see why you would. Yeah. I mean, you know, the beer that we make should be served to our neighbors, and I don't know, I'm sounding like a marketing thing, but I mean that's just the way I see it. I don't see any reason to package it up and shove it out the door to be trucked down to some other state and
where somebody
stuck on a shelf, and nobody knows who we are. That kind of thing.
Saxapahaw doesn't know the community.
Yeah, I don't
You're
see.
disconnected.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just not really what we want to do.
Well, it's not you. It's not. Yeah. It's not Haw River.
It's just and I agree.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us in.
Awesome, thank you.
We appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Wish you the best of luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
In your fatherhood and in the brewery.
Thank you much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Until next time, this is Dave and Glenn, the NC Beer Guys from Haw River Farmhouse Ales in Saxapahaw, North Carolina.
Saxapahaw.
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 And down east, we never put an extra syllable in there.
I know, that's cool.
Saxapahaw.
No, it's that Saxapahaw. That's what the old school cats say.
All right, what is it?
Saxapahaw.
Saxapahaw.
There you go.
From Saxapahaw.
That's it.
Remember, drink local and keep your beer dollars in North Carolina.
Awesome.